Good afternoon. It is August 2nd, 2021, and today we have a downward trend day, but it really just felt like a range with a downward bias. It wasn't clear that this was the bottom until right here, but you can see prices playing off that midline a few times. I don't think we got to drag it all the way down here. I think we can just put it right there across these lows. Yeah, you can see some rejection here. People got trapped. But for the most part, prices were in the overnight highs and lows. Broke out here a little bit before 9. And really after that, the volume was pretty low. And we broke in, you can't really tell, but we broke into this range below the overnight highs and lows. So we'll take a look at these trades, and then we'll take a look at the ones I took. I don't really think there was much of a measured move, but this was really just a range day, very choppy, except for this leg down. Everything else was super choppy. You could tell that the bias was down. Because, yeah, once you draw your trend channel off these two highs, that midline seems to work. But anyway, come in shortly after 5, and we had a leg up and then a leg down. And this looked like the channel we were working with. Originally, I just had this range drawn off these highs here and these lows. Here, let me zoom in. And so, since we had this strong leg down, first entry, second entry, this is a third entry off the EMA. That is a really good entry. I wasn't in there at 5 a.m. I'd probably take that, though. But you get a first entry, failed second entry long. That's also a second entry short. And this doesn't look like great price rejection. With, you know, these bars look like dojis, but it's off the EMA, and we just had a nice bounce off that after this nice leg down, so I did like that entry. Prices come to the bottom of the range and bounce up for a breakout. That breakout fails. You do get a lower high here, but it's hard to say. We'll see if Mack marks it, but you know, we're making higher lows here, so I didn't want to go short there. I did go long on this failed second entry short right here, and we don't know if this leg is going to get pushes higher, which it ended up not getting pushes higher. The trend was just down for the day. So anyway, we go down and we get this trend line. Really, at first I was playing off there, and so that's another reason. Look at that midline really seems to work, and that's another reason I went long there. But it turned out I think most people were playing this, and so we get rejection up here, make a bounce here. I think I got trapped. Yeah, I went short here. But luckily I exited simply because, what's that called? Slippage. I had some slippage, so that's a first entry. I was looking at it as a failed second entry short, even though I had this congestion area drawn, so I shouldn't have been going short. I went short there, and I think I got out after 2 ticks or something because I had slippage and I didn't want to stay in that trade. But that is a first. It's almost like it's really just a higher low off the trend line, but it's almost like it's a failed second entry failure, in that it's like a failed. So here would be the failed second entry long right here. If it fails to go higher, it goes lower. But that failed and reversed, and I think that's what is really happening. Is people got trapped thinking this was a failed second entry long, but then people who saw this trend line went long. But then you get a first failed second entry short here, and it's really just a high or low off that trend line again. But once it stops at the midline again, and then we get this congestion, I don't think you should be going long, because you know it didn't reach the top of the channel, so that's showing weakness. And we made this low. This was the low that we couldn't break beneath over here. So when you get this breakout, for lack of a better description, it breaks beneath those lows, gives you that signal bar. It's an aggressive entry, but I think, you know, it's like a failed breakout. We move up into this congestion, and that's when you can see that trend line. So we get a higher low, or a lower high, excuse me. First entry, failed second entry long right here, close to the trend line. If you had your trend line drawn steeper at that point, that would still work, but I think the midline works better right here. And those are tough entries because, look, we got some congestion here, and then we break lower and form some congestion, but that looks like it's getting lower each time. It actually looks like some fairly significant price rejection despite all the dojis, because we get this lower high, we break lower, this closes here, we get a doji, this one closes down here. So I think you can mark that as red. And here we get a second entry short. So if you miss that opportunity, and that's clearly going to trap a lot of longs here, then we don't make it to the bottom of the trend channel, unless that is just overshoot. But then we wouldn't want to take this. But I think that it's really this. We don't make it to the bottom of the trend channel. It breaks. First entry, failed second entry long right here. So you might go short right there. Maybe that's where I put it, but first entry, second entry short, that looks no good. First entry, that looks like a second entry short. So I think you can probably go short on either of these. Because this looks like a second entry short to me. And this one looks like a lower high, but also like a first entry, second. Oh, this is also a failed second entry long. It was just like a lower high, really. But it's also like the true second entry short, first entry, second entry. Even though this one broke higher and then went lower. And you get a... That's a double top right there. So I suppose you could even go short here, but that's going into the lows, so I don't think you want to do that. However, you could look at it. So let me just put aggressive, because you could also be looking at it like, okay, we're going to try and attempt to hit the overnight lows and close that gap. That might be a gap, as a matter of fact, that they were trying to fill. Yeah, that's probably a gap that they were trying to fill. So if you were thinking that, then you were reading it correctly, and you could probably go short there. There's no other entry in this strong trend down. We find some support here. Yeah, it looks like support from the other day, Friday. We bounce, we start riding this trend line. I like this read. This kind of looks like it's like a second attempt to go high that fails. After this leg up, though, you should expect another correction, or another corrective leg, because from here to here looks like one leg. But I went short here, and then I I got trapped going long here. That's just not... The rules are in place for a reason, and you can see right here the rules. This was a range day for the most part. Yeah, we had this leg down, but it's been a range day, so the bias is clearly down, especially with this trend channel. So going long here, yeah, we did just hit the bottom of that channel, but the bias is down. We're at this midline, so you don't want to be going long into the midline. If you're going long anywhere, you probably have to go right here. So if you got trapped there, then you understand why this is going to work. But this is aggressive too, simply because it looks like we're playing this channel, making higher lows, higher highs. But I think if you're reading that right and you feel like being aggressive, I think you can do that. Make this leg down. First entry, second entry, and this is another reason you want to be playing the range rules. Because if you treat this like a trend and you think, okay, well, this is a failed second entry long, this would be a 4-tick failure here. So maybe, I think some people might go long here. I just had the lows of my range marked down here, so that's a little too high for me. But then it looks like that range isn't really in play anymore, and we form this tight congestive area. And I think once this looks like this is a little after 12, so you might not even be watching at that point. What is this? First entry, second entry. This is the third entry. We'll see if that does anything. But this looks like a double test of that. We make this high, test it once, test it twice, and each one is lower. So I've been seeing that pattern recently too. These like highs that are 1 tick shorter than each other. So I like that. But that's what I saw. Now we'll take a look at my trades. Thought I went short here. Maybe I was just hesitant. I think I was watching. So, but yeah, I went short here. It's like a... Oh, wait, no, I went long here. It's a bit aggressive, but we got that. What I was thinking was we made this strong move up in the overnight. We got a break and one leg of correction and really just some congestion. And so we hit this perfect measured move up. I didn't show that in my analysis, but that's a perfect measured move out of this range that we hit up to the tick. And then we get a lower... Oh, wait, no, I went long here. Okay, so we get that. So maybe if I'm thinking like that, because I saw all that, maybe I shouldn't be going long there, but that is a failed second entry short, and it did scalp out pretty quickly. So this might be just people exiting their trades here, but maybe... Oh, well, you can't enter this because it's a first entry. But maybe really you should have been looking to enter back into congestion here. But that trade worked out. So I don't know. I guess I'm a little mixed about that in my feelings. Here, like I said, this one gapped down. So I just took 2 ticks because there was slippage in my entry. I treated this like a first failed second entry. Long, but really look, if you draw the trend line, you shouldn't be going short there anyway. We had a break of that short-term channel. I think you could have gone long here. Then we get a bounce off that channel again, and so that's when I saw it. And I think this is an okay entry. First entry, failed second entry short, high or low off the channel, and plenty of room to the highs of that range. Coming later. So I think this is not a good... Actually, no, because I mean, I think I was playing it correctly. Maybe I came in too early. But look, I went short here. thinking, you know, we had a strong, it's been ranging all day, really. We just had this one leg down. So the bias is clearly down. And this looks like a range right here, where this midline is. So you draw a perfect measured move, and it ends up right here. We hit that and make a lower high. And so that's what I was looking at that as. It kind of looked like a failed second entry long as well. Like, these are the highs, even though this is a new high. First entry, failed second entry long. Scalped out pretty quick, but then you see that there is a channel here. Just because there's a channel doesn't. I guess you really should be playing range rules. I'm curious to see Mack's lesson today, because the range rules really applied. And so yeah, look, you get a breakout of where I drew my congestion. You get a breakout, and that would have been a great entry. I got trapped going long here, thinking I was outsmarting everybody, entering on a limit order. After it breaks higher here, I entered on a limit order, but look, that's just a trap. So I think that was the last trade. That's it. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, price is going lower. They might make a measured move. Turn this off, because we didn't hit a measured move earlier. Let's see. All the way down here, but I had a smaller target based on this leg down. And I think really, if you put it here, we already hit that though, easily. So yeah, maybe we'll hit a measure move down around 43.75. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow.